Navneet, good morning viewers. I'm Shin Mehta. Let's take a look at what's happening with the headlines. Okay, before we start with the headlines, just let's take a look at the new listing that is happening today, and that is Bharat Dynamics. The company will get listed anytime soon. If you're looking at the base price, it's 428. Let's see what the pre-open has indicated for us.
I think the pre-opening was indicating a bit of discount, and I guess it's clearly not listing on a good day when the markets are in the red. Remember, it's a defense play. The company, I guess they raised somewhere about over 900 crore from the primary markets, and the listing is about to take place.
Big
IPO. Okay, we'll be getting the initial rate of...
Oh, it's 378 right now. Okay. So basically it's open 10% lower than what it was. So clearly not the best of listings for a PSU, and probably you should also watch out what will happen with HAL when it gets listed, because that also had poor subscription numbers. So as of now, I think the numbers don't add up for them. It's managed to recover from the lows of the day. Nevertheless, Bharat Dynamics is down almost 8% in trade. But let's take a look at some of the headlines that have come out. The trade war triggers a sell-off in global equities after Donald Trump triggers a trade war between the US and China by imposing trade barriers on goods worth $50 billion. The Nifty falls to a 5-month low, falling below the 10,000 mark for the first time since October 2017. The India VIX sees a sharp surge. Open interest in Jubilant Food continues to surge for the second straight day as it extends its everyday value offer to regular size pizza with a significant amount of discount. The stock trade at the day's high. SBI Chairman Rajneesh Kumar says that the bank's gross NPA will not rise above its third quarter numbers despite the recent changes in the IBC norms. That's a Bloomberg Quint exclusive. The market's still down. We're below the 10,000 mark in trade, but Navneet, what are the futures indicating?
Well, Darshan, it's not been a great start, and obviously today is the last day of the week as well. So 9988, remember 10,000 was the mark which the street was now keenly watching out for after we had breached the 200-day DMA for both Nifty and Bank Nifty. And remember, it's a sea of red across the board. So be it benchmarks or the broader markets or any sectoral indices, everything this morning is trading in the red besides the India Volatility Index, which Darshan highlighted in the headline. So India VIX trading with gains of nearly 5 to 6%. And we breached those key levels, 10,000 on Nifty, 24,000 on Bank Nifty in today's session. Just want to first talk about the sectoral indices today. So metals, PSU, banking and realty, these are among the top laggards if you look at the sectoral indices today. And metals, obviously, because of the trade war news, we're seeing some selling pressure on that. And clearly the selling pressure for the PSU banking space continues in today's session as well. In terms of options, what's happening, and next week is also going to be the expiry week. It is a truncated week, so only 3 more days to go for the expiry of the March series. What we are seeing this morning is aggressive call writing, which is coming for the 10,000 and the 10,100 strikes. So somewhere between 13 to 14 lakh shares for both these strikes respectively has been added so far. And Darshan, you were highlighting the 10,000, put strike in the morning, and we've been highlighting this for our viewers. This was the strike which was sitting with maximum amount of open interest, be it on the call or on the put side. So clearly so far the bulls were trying to defend this mark which has been breached in today's session. Now next would be to see what sort of unwinding now can take place, and considering there is expiry next week, either we can see a short covering rally or short positions now being carried forward to the April series.
My guess would be the second one at this point of time, not because that's what the chart. If you can bring up the total open interest chart, and I'll tell you what the probability is here. Look at the 10,000. This is what's happened today in terms of open interest build up. So the 10,000 and 10,100 is where call writers are extremely aggressive in trade, and the positions are shifted from the bulls to the 9,900. But if you look at the total open interest, still at the 10,000 level, there is 50 lakhs, almost 60 lakh shares as the total open interest. That's the big red line there. So if the market continues to stay below the 10,000 level, then unwinding pressure will come in.
There's been some intraday addition, I would call it. A while back when I was checking the 10,000 put strike, almost 4 to 5 lakh shares were unwound, but now it's showing only 2 lakh shares. So let's see whether we can close above that mark or not. And going into April series, even if you go by the option strikes there, if one were to look at the next level, it will be 9,800, because that's the strike after 10,000 where maximum amount of OI addition has been seen. But Darshan, what are the stock futures which are in focus?
Yeah, so I think the biggest stock and the biggest surprise would be Jubilant Foodworks. Had recovered significantly from the lows of the day on decent open interest build-up. So that is doing well. NIIT Tech is seeing fresh short positions. IT stocks have run up significantly. Union Bank continues to bleed, and Adani Enterprises continues to bleed. Even Mindtree is seeing open interest build up. And I was speaking in the morning, Navneet, in terms of these IT companies, mid-cap ITs that have run up significantly. So they also run the risk of any kind of Trump statements that could come in. And since they have run up significantly, they will be the first line of...
it was quite interesting you mentioned IT. What about pharma then?
So pharma is already down. The point is pharma is already weak and no one is already buying.
Can there be more pressure?
There could be, he said, but a lot of for pharma, I think the problem is already there.
Okay.
And like Sun Pharma is already down from 1200 to 500. So I don't think any
pressures will already...
So I'm saying that the level of activity that mid-cap IT has seen has been humongous, the buying that has seen. So, traders will try to target these ones first rather than pharma is already dead. So what will they shoot a dead guy for? So that's the logic. But on the open interest decline, I think Jet Airways is in the F&O ban, and that is again seeing unwinding pressure in trade today. So is PVR, which is down in trade. Repco again is seeing long unwinding. So I think most of the counters are seeing unwinding that are coming in. But I think the star of today again will be Jubilant Foodworks. So what a recovery from the lows of the day. It's recovered almost 60 rupees from the lows of the day. And that's clearly buzzing.
Well, it's Friday. Maybe it's time to eat pizzas now. But before we get to our guest in the show, here's a reminder for you all. If you have any queries in the futures and options market, you can call us now on 022-4540-4141. You can also write to us, in fact, on our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, with our SpeakU hashtag. Let's welcome then our F&O experts, Rahul Shah of Motilal Oswal Securities and Navneet Daga of IIFL Well joins us on the show. Good morning to both of you, gentlemen, and appreciate you joining us today on Bloomberg. Rahul, let me come to you first. It's been a week where we breached all the key levels. First, it was the 200-day DMA. Today, it's the 10,000 mark and the 24,000 mark on Bank Nifty. And if I were to look, Nifty is now down over 200 points from its 200-day DMA. And for Bank Nifty, that's down over 1,000 points. Is there any trade on the index that you would look at, considering the expiries lined up next week?
I think Nifty below 10,000 and obviously Bank Nifty below 24,000 will see some more serious sell-offs and panic selling from people. So I think that's what we are seeing. Obviously the option writers unwinding we'll see. Yesterday we saw 10,200 unwinding. Today we are seeing 10,000 unwinding. So I think if this continues, then I think we will see some more sell-off in the markets. And psychologically also, as we said, that 200-day breaking, which itself will give fear more selling. So my sense is, I think obviously the best way to play is buying puts. I think my sense is that BankX may correct more from the current levels. I think we are seeing, bearing apart HDFC Bank and Kotak, I think rest all of the banking stocks in the Bank Nifty are seeing serious sell-off. So maybe all of them like ICICI Bank, Yes Bank, Axis, SBI and a lot of PSU banks, we are seeing a lot of sell-offs in those, and technically also we've seen a lot of a breakdown in those stocks. So I think BankX can still struggle more from current levels. Best way to play buying 23,500 puts. That's what my strategy would be at current hours.
Okay, Navneet, what is the strategy that you're looking at? The Nifty is at now exactly 10,000 levels. Which way will the Nifty move now?
Look, we have to understand the perspective that basically we were the one where the relative underperformance was seen in our market much more than the global market. So once the global market sell-off has started, there's a greater chances that we might continue to underperform on the lower side. And the kind of a positioning that we are seeing, the FI has been continuously be on the nets on the seller side in the futures market index futures positioning, and the option side, if I look at the 10,000 put writers are likely to get panicked in this kind of a move because still 3 to 4 days are left before the expiry ends. So to my understanding, we can push towards levels of somewhere near 9900 to 9850 on the lower side on the Nifty. There are greater chances that we might find a support to that level. But to my understanding, it's better to, upside is looking very limited in this kind of a market, because the calling on the kind of a setup that we're seeing in the global markets, the upside looks to be very less. So I'll use any intraday bounces on the higher side to go short on the index futures, or either directly on the call option, OTM call options. Selling at 10,100 call options still makes sense to me, because it doesn't look like that we're likely to expire about 10,100 for the current series.
Okay, so Navneet's already given his option strategy. If you could just play it. He's suggesting to sell the 10,100 call strike, and remember that's for the March series, where his target is nearly between 0 to 5 points. If I look at the current premium on the 10,100 call strike is somewhere about 31 to 32 rupees. Okay, Rahul, what about you? What's your option strategy for the day?
I think I would buy 23,500 Bank Nifty put options from the current levels. I think it was around 125, 126 levels. So I think from the current expiry, I think that it can go to 175. Keep a stop loss of 102.
And what about you, Navneet? What is the option strategy that you are recommending for today?
Well, the strategy that I spelled out is basically selling an OTM calls, and that makes sense to me. Put buying is kind of a trade whereby the walls are already getting a bit expensive, and since the time decay is very fast in the current series, so I'll avoid the put buying, and in fact going for selling an OTM calls, because the upside looking less. 10,100 call options one can sell in the range of 35 to 40, and keeping a strict stop loss on the high side on the spread at 60 points, and I'm expecting that expiring at 0 to 5 points.
Navneet, what about individual stock? Any stock future strategy for the day?
Look, there are a couple of stocks which was inherently getting weak, and we have seen some kind of a breakdown confirmation, and now we have seen some follow-up action on the lower side. Escort is the one stock which we have seen some kind of a breakdown has already happened. So to my understanding, one can look at the current market price to go short on escorts at somewhere into 798 to 800 range. I'm looking at a target on the lower side of the levels of 760, and I'll keep a strict stop loss on the high side at 811 on the stock. Apart from that, there is one counter on the Reliance group, that is basically Reliance Capital, whereby the breakdown has been confirmed below 410 levels. One can look to current market price and wait for an upward opportunity somewhere into 405, and keep a strict stop loss on the higher side of 416. I'm looking at a immediate target of somewhere into 380 on the lower side.
And Rahul, what about the stock futures that you like at this point of time?
I think stock futures, again, my view is negative. I think the sector, a lot of stocks have been showing weaknesses. In the metal perspective, we saw a fabulous rally in last 1 year, and now I think few metal stocks have been fizzling it out, and they have been laggard since last 3-4 months and continuous 3-4 series. So in that space, Hindalco is one stock which I believe, I think I would give a short call on it. So I would go short on Hindalco from the current levels. It can go to 195 or so from the current levels at 207. Keep a stop loss of 212. Second stock again would be a short idea from my end. It would be a TVS Motor. Again, I think we've seen in auto serious corrections across the globe except for Ashok Leyland. So I think the rest all stocks have been showing negative divergence. So in that space, I think TVS Motor continuously stock has been showing weaknesses, and shorts built up in the stocks. Again, I would go short on TVS Motor, stop loss of 602 and target of 570.
Rahul, any view on either of these stocks? Jubilant Foodwork, which has managed to recover significantly on high open interest pay, and Yes Bank, which is again dropping 4%.
I think Jubilant, I think it's going against the market. Continuously, we've seen stocks hitting a new high every day. So I think seriously on the charts, as well as I think what in a future perspective I look at it, I think one should avoid shorting, and in fact the Brave can go long also from the current levels. I think the stock is ready for 2400 or so. So one should keep a stop loss of 2230 for near term. If it breaks, then I think long should be unwinded from the current levels. Coming to Yes Bank, I think as we discussed at the starting of the show, that I think except for HDFC and Kotak, I think most of the banks have been showing negative and shorts being added to it. Today is being a Yes Bank where we're seeing a serious correction in the stock. So I think this can still go further down from the current levels. So I think I would still go short on Yes Bank from current levels.
Navneet, anything in the mid-cap IT space that has run up significantly? Does anything look that it has reversed the trend?
there were then the last couple of days we have seen the stock likes of Mindtree, which has seen some kind of a significant resistance started to develop in the range of 440 to 840 to 850 range. It has started to break down below that, and it is confirmed breakdown below 810 levels. To me and to my understanding, that is the one stock whereby we have seen excessive purchasing start of a month, and that is started to getting unwinding. So I'll look for any opportunity in this one to go short on any rise from the current levels as well as from the current market price, so I can look to go short on. The positional target on the lower side should come somewhere near to 720 odd range, and the stop loss one should keep if you are looking to go short on the current market price is 800 levels.
And talking about the IT space, well, we've seen a lot of stocks recovering from the gap down opening. Pull up the intraday chart of HCL Technologies or Infosys and even Tech Mahindra. All of these Nifty constituents are now, I guess, trading in the green. HCL up almost 0.7%. Tech Mahindra and Infi, which is a heavyweight on the index, that too is trading now in the green. But one stock which was down nearly 15 to 16% yesterday and had a gap down opening today, that's Hindustan Construction, HCC. That's seen some recovery. I don't know if it's a short covering rally that you're seeing. The stock is now up nearly 2.5%. Rahul, I'm going to come to you. HCC has been pretty weak in the last 5 to 6 trading sessions, and there is some fundamental news behind it according to some reports. But on the charts, tell us if one had taken a short position, what should be the target considering the kind of recovery that we've seen in the intraday session?
Obviously this stock has been again on a weaker side, and if you look at last few sessions, obviously post some fundamental news floating around our post that the stock has corrected. So I think near term, if someone has to look at if they have the short position, I think best is to hedge it through buying a call option rather than keeping some stop loss in mind. So I think the levels are such, I think any news can drive the stocks 10% plus minus. So I think best is to hedge it through buying a call option.
Okay, so that's the view that's coming in. What about Titan? Is that a stock that's managed to hold on to trade? Rahul, any view on Titan?
I think Titan, I think this is one stock which has done quite well in near term. So I think at this level, I would avoid longs as well as I think in Titan as well. So I think stock obviously can go to 910 or so where it can face some resistance. So I think the risk to reward is not favorable going longs into it in Titan. But yes, one should look at buying at lower levels and avoid shorting in this counter.
But definitely Titan has so far not succumbed to the selling pressure that we've seen for the markets. It's been holding up in the last 3 to 4 sessions. Talking about the metals pack, which is weak today, pull up Steel Authority, and that's the stock which has actually come out of the F&O ban as well for today's session. And after coming out, we've seen a sharp correction for that counter, down nearly 6%. Well, you know what? We've been receiving a lot of queries with regard to Steel Authority, and there are a lot of people who've created longs, considering this was the underperformer of last 1 year if you look at the metals pack. But suddenly in the last 3 to 4 months, it picked up momentum. If somebody is holding longs here, what would you advise them?
Metal as a basket overall is underperforming, and the kind of the move that we are seeing is off late is looking likely that some more downside might be coming on these stocks. But I'll keep a very strict stop loss at the levels of 68. It is a level whereby it has reversed in the last time in the last couple of days. So to my understanding, if someone is looking, since these are the metal stocks are already oversold as well, so one will keep on getting this short covering bounces on the market. So there are chances that one can get an exit in the level of 72 to 73 levels, and then it has seen in yesterday's levels as well. So I'll keep a strict stop loss at the levels of 68 if someone is holding on the longs on the stock, and still wait for an exit towards the level of 72 to 73 levels.
Okay, if some queries coming in on Nalco. Nalco was up yesterday almost 7 to 8%, has managed to cool off today. Girish Kumar on Facebook has written he needs a view on Nalco. What should one do? Navneet, any view on Nalco?
Not very clear. I'm not getting any major data points to support any major view on this particular stock. So to my understanding, only on the chart side, it's looking like that some short-term bottom might have created in the levels of somewhere into 65 odd, but I'm not very sure. I'm not that we get any major upside on the follow-up upside of what we have seen yesterday. To my understanding, one should, if you're getting any exit towards the levels of 68 to 69, one should look to get an exit. Not very convincing chart on the stock.
Okay, that's the view coming in on NALCO. And we were discussing Steel Authority. We've once again received a query on Facebook from Shivu SP, who's saying that he's bought the 70 put strike at a premium of 2 rupees. And what should he do considering the expiry is there next week? The current premium on the 70 put strike is somewhere about 1.8. Rahul, I'll come to you since I've already taken Navneet's view on Steel Authority. What would you advise our viewer to do? Should he just cover his position today or wait out till the expiry and, maybe he gets his a buy price back?
Which stock? Steel Authority?
Yes. Steel Authority, 70 put strike, bought at 2 rupees.
I think I would ask him to hold on to the positions. I think the metal stocks, obviously, as we discussed, select metal packs have been seeing weaknesses. So obviously, SAIL is among one of them where it is showing some weakness. So I think one should continue to hold on. The stock can go to 66 is the first level which I am looking at on the Steel Authority.
Okay, Amit Singh has written to us on YouTube. Can the Nifty drag further towards the 9,500? Sorry. So he believes that he's asking whether a 500 point downtick on the Nifty is possible. At least let's take a little slightly longer term view. Rahul, can 9,500 be a possibility?
I don't think so. Near term, it doesn't look like that 95 could be a possibility in near term. So my sense is that stock markets can hold at 9910 is the level which in the Nifty front, which I think is there is a resistance. If it breaks, then again it can go to 9850 or something, which is the level. So near term, I don't see that 9500 coming into the picture.
Okay, Benny Mehra wants to know what's the call on Balrampur Chini, and is it advisable to take a fresh long position considering that the stock has corrected a lot? Navneet, anything on Balrampur?
Again, this is a stock which has seen a tremendous amount of selling pressure on the higher side. It has been, even in the mid-cap side, most of the stocks have been butchered on the lower side. To my understanding, the way the chart has broken down, it doesn't look like that. It's looked like that every rise on the higher side towards the levels of somewhere near to 88 to 90 also, it will see some kind of a serious selling pressure. I would still avoid this counter as in bottom fishing. So it would look likely that they might grind down even lower from the current levels. So any higher side, once it started to trade above 90 odd zone, one should look to enter into that from a tactical perspective.
Okay, that's the view on Balrampur Chini. Jigar Dalal has written to us. He's asking if there is any PSU bank that he can look to buy. Rahul, I'll come to you. And it's not the first time we've received a query like this. The reason being PSU banks have corrected so much in the March series. I think people are waiting for the short covering rally now. But considering the global scenario now, markets have turned weak. Would you advise anyone to go ahead and take that risk ahead of expiry?
I would avoid any of the PSU banks doing to be a brave heart and go long for it. So I think that does not show any any recovery or a bounce back in it. That even if it is, that would be a short covering and that would be a short lived. So I would avoid any bottom fishing in still any of the PSU banks.
Okay, one more query that's come in again on Jubilant Foodworks. Kavita Mayekar wants to know if it's the right level to book profits on Jubilant Foodworks. There's no indication of what price she bought it, but is this so basically we need to convert it. Is there more room for the counter to go higher? Rahul, you can take this one.
I think Jubilant Food, as we discussed earlier also, that I think the stock has made a new high and has come to a new territory in terms of technical. If you look at in future perspective also, I think a lot of longs built up in it. So my sense is, I think unless if it breaks 2230 near term stop loss, one should keep it for the long position. It can still go to 2400 or so, and one should definitely avoid shorting in this counter.
Okay, we've received a query from Narendra Mahajan. Thanks very much for writing to us. I know you've been writing since yesterday and you wanted a view on Aries Agro and as well as D-Link. We discussed your stocks on the Countdown show yesterday. Considering this is not an F&O stock, so really sorry we cannot take on this show. But Satya Subhash writes to us. He's asking to suggest any entry price for a stock like NBCC, Navneet. Do you see any trade on NBCC at current levels? If somebody wants to take a fresh position, what sort of level should they monitor?
Look, in fact, it has seen a fresh breakdown. To my understanding, we'll get a levels of somewhere near to 180 to 182 zone in this stock to get an entry. We have seen some kind of a shorting futures open interest as well as build up in this counter. So to my understanding, the kind of an deleveraging that we are seeing in the most of the mid cap stocks, to my understanding, you will get that to the levels. That is a good entry point on that stock because it is looking likely that again from that level one might see a bounce towards 200 odd levels. But I'll refrain myself to buy at these current levels. I'll wait for an entry price in the range of 180 to 182 zone.
Okay, Narendra has written again and he wants a view on escorts. Now I'll take this query, Narendra, as this is the F&O stock. Rahul, any view on escorts at current levels on the charts? How is it looking?
I think overall, I think a lot of mid caps have seen a sell-off, and overall auto also, as I discussed earlier, also I think have been showing weaknesses except for Ashok Leyland. So I think near term, even escorts, I would avoid going long. So I think if you're holding it, exit the long position. That's what my view would be.
Okay, HCC is now trading with gains of nearly 3.5%, so looks like a short covering bounce back that one has seen. And Reliance Communication, the entire Reliance Group stocks are down. Even Adani Enterprises have seen a big correction, but the losing list of the F&O Securities is being dominated by all your PSU banks. Union Bank, Bank of India, Andhra, Syndicate, Oriental, all of them have seen sharper cuts as we speak. But Steel Authority down 5.5%, and Jindal Steel and Power has also seen some sharper cuts. Rahul, if somebody had taken a short trade, because we did see some recovery for stocks like Jindal Steel and Power towards the start of the week, and also Steel Authority, would it be wise to just close their positions now, or they can just carry forward till the expiry next week?
I think I would cut the Jindal Steel and Power positions if someone is short on it. I think this stock has been outperformer, and I think around 208 levels or so is a strong resistance in this stock. So I don't think so the stock would break 208 in near term. So I think if you're short on it, I think definitely advise you to cover your shorts from the current levels.
Manappuram Finance is again in the green. It's up almost 1%. It's doing well. Navneet, any view on Manappuram Finance?
Interestingly, this stock has been held up quite smartly at 100 odd levels. I would look for an entry in this stock at a nearer somewhere in the levels of 100 to 101. Since it's not been breaking below 100 odd levels, it's looking likely that some smart money is accumulating the stock at that level. So to my understanding, I'll bet a bit of contra in this. The overall trend suggests that the stock might find a lot of support zone in that level of 100 to 101, and one should, if you're getting that entry price since we are seeing in the entry price in the morning itself, one might see another round of selling, and that's where one should look to accumulate with a stop loss of strict stop loss of 99 on the lower side. I'll play for a small target on the higher side of 108 on Manappuram.
Okay, so bucking the trend in today's session is Manappuram. But Satya Subhash wants a view on Voltas. He's asking what should be the good entry level if somebody wants to take a positional call here. Rahul, it's a positional call because he's saying long term. In terms of entry level on Voltas, what would you advise him?
I think 588 should be a good level. I think we've seen Voltas resulting from those at those levels. I think a good resistance, and from a couple of times it has bounced back from 588. So I think at 588 one should look at buying Voltas.
Okay, Rahul and Navneet, thank you so much for joining us on the show. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of the F&O Show. From Navneet, me, and the entire team making this show, thanks for watching the F&O Show. Stay tuned to Bloomberg Quint.
बढ़ते समय के साथ बढ़ती सुरक्षा का वादा। LIC की जीवन प्रगति पॉलिसी, जिसमें बीमा की अवधि में हर 5 वर्ष बाद अपने आप जोखिम सुरक्षा की राशि में बढ़ोतरी होती है। LIC की जीवन प्रगति पॉलिसी।
Sir, please believe me, I am in this business for the last 12 years. Okay, I'll wait for your call. Thank you so much. They still don't know you after all these years? क्या करें? पहचान ही नहीं है. Simple.